So, hello everybody, and welcome to today's session, which is all about how to supercharge your enterprise service management with Appfire. I am Faith Nyamande. I am the product marketing manager at Appfire, and I'll be presenting today's session alongside Onder Ozcan, who is a senior product manager at Appfire, and together we look after the IT service management portfolio of apps. So, we're going to talk you through two common enterprise service management use cases today with some practical tips and tricks on how you can solve them using Jira and Appfire apps. The first one is all about how to manage numerous SLAs with varying contractual obligations for different customers, followed by how to meet key ITSM and ESM KPIs, such as keeping customer satisfaction and net promoter scores high through continuous improvement. We'll then wrap up and dive into a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions, feel free to add them to the chat box. And yeah, we'll answer them at the end of the session. So to begin with, how can teams supercharge their daily tasks to spend more time helping customers? Now, this is a question that many enterprises are asking. And the last 2 years have really revolutionized IT capabilities within companies, with even more demand and pressure placed on both IT service management and enterprise service management teams, like HR, finance, and facilities, for example, who are often still working on legacy tools with traditional processes and serving remote teams. So that's the perfect storm, but we're here to help you thrive in this new working environment. So to start answering this question, let's dive into the first use case, which is all about how to manage numerous service level agreements with varying contractual obligations for different customers. So picture this. You are working for a company that provides facilities management services for many different clients, such as hospitals, schools, and office buildings, for example. You have different contractual obligations for each of these customers, and you want to create, track, and report on SLAs based on each of these different contracts that you have. So, for example, due to the nature of the work, you've agreed with all of your hospital clients that all incidences within their hospitals must be resolved by the next business day. As well as this, all site managers should be notified whenever an SLA from a hospital client enters a predefined danger zone, such as 80% of the SLA duration having passed, for example. Although Jira Service Management has a built-in SLA functionality, which is great, its features can be limited, and there is no specific solution for this use case. We can, however, use time to SLA to solve this problem, and I'll pass over to Onder to show you exactly how you can do this.
Thanks, Faith. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen? That's good. So first of all, let's recap what we need to do in this use case, right? The first one is we need to identify the customer segmentation, VIP, gold, silver, bronze, etc. The second bit is obviously we need to create our SLAs. Then we need to define our notifications, right? So let's talk about the first one. So as you might know, there is no built-in capability for identifying your customer segmentation in Jira software or Jira Service Management. However, you can customize your underlying workflow by using marketplace apps from Appfire, such as JSU, JMWE, or Enhancer plugin for Jira for that matter. So having said that, we will skip this part because we will concentrate on the ITSM implementation and the SLA details in particular. So what about the SLA definitions? So SLA definitions by using time to SLA is really straightforward and intuitive. But before doing any configuration or creating any SLA in your Jira instance, as a Jira admin or as an SLA manager for that matter, you have to do your homework first. So what do I mean by that? So first of all, you need to have is, pen and paper and with your customer, right? So you have to analyze your SLA obligations, your SLA contractual definitions. So for example, what is my SLA goal? Okay, my goal is resolving tickets, issues from the VIP customers in next business day. Okay, so far so good. So what about my working hours? Is it down to 24 hours, 7 days a week basis, or is it 9 to 5, the scheme, or is it something completely different? So first of all, you have to analyze those information. So the next question is, what about my gold customer, silver customer, bronze customer? What about their goals and their, the working hours? Not only to that, you have to, as a best practice, you have to ask, what is my default SLA? For example, any customers that is not classified as VIP, gold, bronze, or silver. What about those customers, those tickets, those requests from you, right? So on top of that, we have to analyze the SLA conditions. So for example, imagine you have a big, the timer stopwatch in your hand, and imagine you have to press the start button, you have to press the stop button, you have to start the pause button. When your SLA should be started, stopped, and paused accordingly. So all those information beforehand needs to be analyzed thoroughly. So after analyzing all those bits and pieces, all we need to do is double checking with our underlying workflow. So here you can see our example project, which is facility management. No surprise there. So let's open one of the tickets, right? Coffee machine is not working. It is an super duper important problem in any given office environment. So first of all, we need to dive into our workflow, right? All I need to do is clicking in here, to do, and workflow. Let me zoom in a little bit so that you can see clearly. Okay, so this is an invaluable tool for SLA managers and for Jira admin. So we can deduct so many information from here. For example, whenever issue gets created, it lands in to-do status. That rings a bell. My SLA should be started when it comes to to-do status. So whenever my agents working on this one, it is progress into in progress, and eventually and hopefully I'm going to close this ticket by progressing into done status. Again, this is my end condition, right? So for whatever reason, if the tickets progress into pending status, for example, we are waiting for some missing information, some attachments, some proof of IDs, proof of address, whatsoever, so it is going to be paused. I need to press the pause button, right? So I have validated my analysis from my customer by using my underlying workflow. So let's say the preliminary checks are completed, then we can dive into SLA definition. So for doing this, all we need to do is heading over to apps menu over there, and we need to open time to SLA. Yep. Now we have the time to SLA menu in front of me. As you can see, I can see couple of SLAs over there. All I need to do is hitting the add new SLA definition here. So let's start off with the naming, right? It is important. For example, I can name as VIP resolution SLA, right? Then all I need to do is choosing my projects, right? This is the facilities management project. So what about the JQL? So JQLs are really powerful tools within SLA definition. So picture this. I have many issue types in my project. For example, incident, change, service request, as well as some sort of internal issue types. For example, task, subtask, right? But I need to exclude task from SLAs because I don't want to attach any SLA for task, right? How can I do this? It's really simple. All I need to do is I'm writing issue type here, and issue type shouldn't be task at all. And that's it. And also I can choose workflow, but for this matter, I don't need to choose any specific workflow. And the conditions, you can remember, we already established that one, right? I know which statuses should be attached to start condition. So let's click that plus icon over there. Again, we have many options for start conditions, right? We can use statuses. We can use some field value. We can use even, the issue comments. We can use some sort of date fields. But for this specific use case, let's stick to status. And whenever my tickets gets into to-do status over there, let's confirm it. My SLA should be started. So similarly, my SLA, when it's gone to, for example, done status, it's gonna be completed. The reset is really powerful capability, but it is not in our scope, but I'm happy to discuss with you if you are more interested in this feature. So the pause one, let's choose, for example, pending, right? I just confirm it. So the conditions section is completed, and now the fun part begins. This is the goal part. So as a best practice, we are basically enforcing the best practices to our users by this design, the language. So first of all, you need to address your default SLA. So it says all remaining issues. So imagine, let's assume that our default SLA is 5 days. This is very common. And for the goals, we have many options over there. Negotiation date. So negotiation date could be, for example, any sort of due date, and any delivery date, any deadline date that is, handshook by your customers and yourself. But for this one, we are going to choose, for example, duration and 5 days. Now it is the calendar, the intersection over there. So what is my working hours? Is it the 24 hours 7? No, we are normally working as 9 to 5 basis. So let's add that one out. Now we can progress into VIP status, right? For this one, we are utilizing the JQL functionality over there. And for this purpose, we already created customer segment custom field by using our workflow and automation tools. So let's say if the customer segmentation is VIP, then of course I can utilize priority, but in this instance, it is unnecessary. So let's choose next business day. So it's that simple. It's built in. It comes with the package. You don't have to do any complicated, implementation whatsoever. So again, the calendar, yes, now it is really important, and we know that it must be on 24 hours basis, right? Let's add that one out. And similarly, we can add the, for example, gold customer, and let's assume that it should be resolved in 2 days. Again, it is 24/7 basis. And similarly, let's add the customer segmentation as silver. And now imagine that this is, let's say 3 days, and it is 9 to 5 basis. So the last bit of information is you can change the order of the SLA goals. It's important because the order is important when it comes to how this is evaluated within the runtime. And also, obviously you can have as many goals as you want based on your own circumstances. So this is it actually, but we have much more configuration options and capability within SLAs. For example, we can choose, the calculation methods for complicated and sophisticated SLA requirements. You can choose, for example, displaying linked issues. For example, you have one Jira service management issues and one Jira software issues, and they are linked together, and you want to display those SLAs into one place. This is really handy. You might want to store all those SLA information, target date information in some sort of custom field for reporting purposes. All are possible by using time to SLA. So I need to click Save button. Sorry, my instance is a little bit slower. Sorry about that. Now, yeah, we managed to complete that part. So as you can see, we completed the SLA definition. So what about the notification? So notifications are really important, and all we need to do is clicking notifier section. As you can see, we have no notifications at all for this newly created SLA, right? Let's jump into it. So similar to SLAs, notifications, actually they have two different sections, the triggers and the actions. For the trigger, we can say that, when the SLA is breached, when will be breached in, let's say, 1 hour, when has been breached for the exceeded SLAs, when it is gonna be reached as, for example, 80%, 60%, whatever it might be. Let's choose 80% for this matter, right? And we can repeat this notification, for example, each hour, and we can stop it after, let's say, 10 times. And most importantly, we can choose the working calendar as well, because if you're up to notifications, in the middle of the night, that's okay. But if you want to get those notifications in the based on the working calendars, you can choose that one as well. So what about the actions? We have two different actions. One is very usual, very common, the email, and the second one is Slack messages. It's getting more and more popular, Slack messages. If you choose Slack messages, you have to basically provide the URL, that's it. And for the email, you can customize the subject line, you can customize the actual content of the email messages itself, and you can choose, who are the recipients. For example, I need to send this notification to the actual assignee, right? For example, I need to send this notification to watchers as well. So for example, what about the individual Jira users? And imagine that you have one incident manager for your organization, and you should inform her or his in this particular example. And let's choose Faith for that matter. And you can choose groups, for example, site managers, facilities managers, site group, as well as the other fields as well. So let me, and sorry, yeah, I need to drag this one out. So let's click save over there. And now we have managed to create our notifications too. Just to recap, as you can see, you can define your SLA configurations in just a couple of minutes to address your VIP customers. Having said that, Faith, over to you.
Thank you, Onder. Let me share my screen. So thank you for that demo again, Onder. Moving on to the next use case and the final use case for today's session, which is all about continuous improvement. And if there's one thing for sure, we love a good acronym in the ITSM and ESM space. And customer satisfaction, or CSAT, and net promoter scores, NPS, are just two key performance indicators that service delivery teams use to measure if their processes are actually working and effective. Both of these KPIs and many others can be boosted through continuous improvement. So imagine you're working for an educational institution this time, and using Jira Service Management to manage your school admission process. There are a few queries and questions that keep popping up from prospective students, such as how to get a student visa, for example. You keep getting that question time and time again from international students, and your agents are having to manually type out the same responses over and over again, or copying and pasting these over from Confluence, their notes, or even worse, a spreadsheet, God forbid. And this is time consuming and reduces productivity. What's more is that due to limited visibility within these workflows, which is a very common issue within both IT and enterprise service management, it's hard to spot exactly what's working, or what isn't working, sorry, within the admission workflow, and therefore improve the process over time. So for this specific use case, we have two apps that can help you. Can Responses Pro Templates for Jira can help boost agent productivity, and the Enhancer plugin for Jira can help with continuous improvement in order to keep these productivity levels high. I'll pass back over to Onder to demo how these two apps can work.
Again, thank you, Faith. Let me project my screen. I hope you can see it. Okay, so again, let's recap. We are going to tackle productivity issues first. Then we are going to analyze how can we tackle the the bottlenecks or the problematic areas in your workflow. So let's dive into productivity bit, right? So in order to explain this phenomena, let's have a the role play, shall we? So I'm an agent and I'm responsible for school admission tickets. And as part of my daily job, I am basically taking care of all the tickets in the admission tickets queue, as you can see in my Acme Uni project. So let's dive into one of the tickets, right? So imagine I am reading all those information supplied by this particular student and the attachments and all that. And I am realizing the fact that it is a common issue for me because this student is coming from overseas and he needs to apply for student visa, right? And more than that, he needs to apply for, so he needs to fill out this boarding form too. So I need to respond to this particular person, people, right? So in order to do that, I need to leave my current Jira instance. I need to open my, the notes, whether it's in the, the OneNote, Evernote, it's in the Office document, or more cleverly, it's in the Atlassian Confluence page. And in this case, I have some sort of, the response repositories in my Confluence page, right? So for example, it says, use this template for the student visa issues, right? So normally I'm just copying and pasting this information and sending to customers by using the comment field, right? So we have two different issues in here. The first one is obviously this is a repetition. It is time consuming. Most importantly, more important than that is actually this is a number one killer for the productivity, because number of the studies conducted in the USA and in the Europe, and it suggests that the context switching is the number one killer for any person. So what we need to do is actually creating those the responses, those text messages into reusable components. So let's do that. I'm going to copy this part and heading over to my Jira instance. So let's open the can responses section over there. So all I need to do is hitting the create template. So let's name that template, for example, student visa application. Okay, so what about the scope? Scope means it could be my personal template, reusable template. I can share this template with my project, for example, Acme University, right? And then I can choose my target fields. Since this is a Jira Service Management project, I can choose comments. So now the fun part, it is the response content. I'm just copy and paste. But as you can see, it says Mr. Mrs. ABC. We can do it in a clever way. So I can choose, for example, the actual customer name, the actual student name by using a reporter field over there, because reporter is the person who actually raised this ticket, right? So, and the closing sentence. For this one, again, we can be even more clever, right? And we can utilize the can responses signature functionality. I'm gonna show it as well, but let's say kind regards. This is the, let's say, first iteration, kind regards, Acme Uni team, okay? So I'm saving this template. So all I need to do is choosing one of the tickets, right? And maybe I can highlight this section, I'm just hitting the can responses over there. So I just, let me show you again, maybe it's too quick, sorry. This template over there, and I'm choosing student visa application. As you can see, it is automatically inserted the reporter name, which is on there. And in order to obtain a student visa, please follow this step, etc., etc. And kind regards, Acme University team. So it is that simple. Now, how can we enrich this reusable components into something else? So for example, this is not enough. Okay, if I send this information to the customer, this is just the one section of the story, right? But all I want to do is actually, you know what? I'm going to progress this ticket into, for example, pending status, because I am waiting for action from the student, from the customer. So how can we do this? Do we need to go to Jira automation or any sort of automation tool? No, we can do it, all those functionalities within can responses. So for example, we can hit manage over there, and we can edit our template, right? So as you can see, we have actions button here. So let's add that action, for example, transition into pending status. And for the reporting purposes, you know what? I'm going to add another action, which is, for example, setting a label for this specific issue so that I can group those issues, right? Set issue field, and I am going to, for example, choose the labels, and the label, let's say, student visa. And let's save this. Close that one, and let me reload my page so that I couldn't be able to hit any problem due to refresh issues. So let's choose my template, right? And as you can see, sorry, I need to drag my thingy over there. Okay. Sorry, let me. So let's look at the request in portal. As you can see, we have managed to respond to customer, right? So this is the agent productivity thing. I'm really mindful of the timing. So we need to progress into identifying the bottleneck next. So in order to do that, let's head over to Enhancer plugin for Jira's reporting section. So we have time spent report here. Hopefully it is going to be opened. This is my internet connection. Sorry about that. Yeah. So this is our reporting functionality. All we need to do is choosing our filter type. It could be project, it could be issue filters, it could be sprint for agile and the scrum teams. It could be JQL for complicated scenarios. Let's, for example, choose a project. And for that matter, for example, I can choose this one, right? And I am interested in, the status first and then assignees. So let's generate the report. Let me stretch that one out. Right. So we have many issues in this time spent report, but all I need to do is actually concentrating on the total time spent. So let me remind the use case. So we have a problem in our, the workflow. So some issues taking so long to respond and resolve, but I have no visibility, I have no insight about it, right? So what is failing, what is missing in this workflow? So for this purpose, we can utilize this report, right? So it is automatically sorting all those issues based on the total time spent. So for example, we have 35 issues in total, and we have 4 pages. And this first page actually contains, the most problematic issues. So this is the certain, the total time spent on this particular issue. And we have, many information. For example, the issue keys, the issue summary, what is the current statuses of that one? For example, it's still in the pending process. And who is the reporter and who is the assignee? What is the priority? I'm going to head over to details, but let me explain this first. And for example, that one, it's still awaiting implementation, etc., etc. So from seeing this, the page, I can immediately spot one common problem, which is assignees are almost empty. So this is really important. So if you somehow miss the opportunity to assigning appropriate, the persons to any given tickets, then you might end up having this. So what is the solution then? So this tool is a great opportunity to utilizing another feature of Enhancer plugin for Jira, which is actually a smart assignment feature. So by smart assignment feature, you can automatically assign your tickets into certain individuals based on your strategy. For example, the round robin, in circular fashion, or strategy based. For example, least loaded users, right? And even you can use JQL to even further refine this functionality. So you can tackle this problem by using this reporting aid. And the next item is the total time spent is really important KPI when it comes to identifying the bottleneck. But what about the individual, the stations, individual statuses? And all those statuses can be found within, correspondent status column, for example, open, in review, under review, however status you have in your underlying workflow. And each workflow, for example, it has their time spent as well. So not only you have total time spent, and also you have individual time spent under certain statuses, right? So it's really important. And you can see we have certain individuals as an assignee, so that you can concentrate on your different, the individuals, different team members as well. For example, let's say this team member actually is not handling, the issues very well. It is dragging on and on. So you have to maybe come up with the solution. What is the problem with this particular individual too? So those are the information you can gather from. But it is more than this. Actually, you can customize your layout. You can, merge different statuses into combined one. For example, in test, in development, you can combine your users and groups. It is much more than this. But again, this is a really powerful tool. This is really powerful reporting so that you can spot what is going on behind the scenes. Thank you very much. And over to you, Faith.
Great. Thank you very much, Onder. Let me share my screen. So the use cases that we've discussed today are two real-world and common ESM issues that can be solved with Jira and Appfire apps. You can head over to the Atlassian Marketplace to start a free 30-day trial of Time to SLA, canned responses, pro templates for Jira, and the Enhancer plugin. At Appfire, we create out-of-the-box solutions that allow teams to spend less time on admin and repetitive tasks and more time actually helping their customers. The solutions and apps that we discussed today can also be applied to countless other challenges, and we have a full suite of other ITSM apps as well that also solve real-world problems. So without further ado, I will open up the floor for questions.
Yeah, Fed. So we have like a couple of interesting questions from Daniel. So when you reset the SLA, the previous cycle log is visible in history.
So when you reset the SLA, is the previous cycle log in the history? Was that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Thank you. Actually, we have SLA history tab panel in Time to SLA. When you open that SLA tab panel, you can visually track, what happened in this particular SLA, right? For example, when the SLA, the breach, when started, etc. All those information is provided in a nice visual way so that you can track the actual, the history of this SLA, including reset and pause as well.
Okay. And one more question is that can SLA visible in the portal?
Oh, that's another good question. Yes, you can define your SLAs, but you have to be very careful. If your SLAs are, let's say, public, and you need to share your SLA with your customers too, we have a capability called Customer Portal SLA. If you click that, the settings, you can immediately share your SLA in the customer portal as well.
One more question is that can SLA be configured by project admin?
Yes, of course.
Okay. There's one more question from Daniel, which says that are all the custom fields available to use on templates?
So this is about canned responses, right? Are all the custom fields available to use on the templates?
On templates.
I'm not sure what custom fields we're referring to.
Sorry, I missed that one. Are we talking about the SLA configuration?
We're talking
about the templates.
Canned responses.
What do you mean by custom fields? Sorry, for the response template?
Yeah, the custom fields like text, user picker, or single select, or multi-select date picker.
No, we have. We have we have the certain options, and if you are interested in the details, I can share the details with you after the call.
Yes, you can head to our booth and we can show you in more detail.
Yeah, we can discuss in the booth as well.
Yeah, so the last question is that how can we manage the SLA breach?
Thank you. It's a really good question. So the time to SLA and the SLA management in total, in general, we are trying to address the SLAs before it's breaching, right? So in that regard, we have notifications, right? So you are basically getting notified all the time. so that you can reach your target. But let's say if the SLAs are breached, we have visual panel in issue detail view, and it's called SLA panel. This is one place. So the SLAs are breached, you can immediately see as it is breached because of its, the color coded. You can see SLA details, how many, hours or, days has been breached. It's not only that, you can get a report on SLAs as well, so that you can, for example, filter out, the breached SLAs or succeeded SLAs as well.
Yes, the
I
SLA
hope
panel
it,
is a
sorry.
really powerful feature because, like Onder mentioned, it's visible there in issue view, and it changes color based on the status of the SLA. So it will be red if it's been breached. It will be yellow if it's close to reaching the SLA goal or close to getting breached, and it will be green if you're on track with the SLA. So yeah, it's a really powerful feature.
And also, I'd like to mention that time to SLA is available on not only Jira Service Management, it is working on Jira software too. So, for example, if in your organization, for example, your support team is using the Jira Service Management, but your developers and DevOps team and testers are using, for example, Jira software, you can use time to SLA for defining and tracking and managing all those SLAs in one place, and you can track all those issues.
Which is really, really crucial within like a lot of modern enterprises, right? Because now that we're, if you open up the sort of ITSM functionalities across the business within a modern enterprise, so HR, finance, etc., you want to make sure that your teams can still collaborate and use the same tools. So yes, having that time to SLA feature on both Jira Software and Jira Service Management is a really cool feature.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, if there's no more questions, I will wrap up by saying thank you so much for joining today's session. If you have any more questions, or if you want to book a one-on-one session, like we mentioned, you can find us at the virtual booth, Appfire's virtual booth. You can also contact us via email through the details that are on the screen, and be sure to check out the other sessions which are on today. And yeah, we look forward to hopefully speaking to you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.